Hey, Dustin. Hey, Tiffany. Welcome to the His and Her Money Show.
Hey guys.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Hello.
We're
Awesome.
doing great. We are excited to have you on the show. You guys have accomplished something pretty major. You all are sitting in your home right now. You all are sitting with smiles on your faces. And
That's
you know
right.
why? Because you're debt free. You paid the
Yes.
price to get out of debt. And so we're super excited that you're able to come and talk about your journey today. But before we get into your story, can you just take a moment and introduce yourself to everybody that's tuned in right now and let them know what you're all about?
Sorry. I'm Dustin, and this is Tiffany Cottrell. We live in Western Kentucky. We've been married for 8.5 years. I have a 2-year-old little girl, and I would say that we consider ourselves pretty average. We're not like high earners or anything like that. Pretty, I guess you could say, average income. And when we got married, debt freedom was something that we really wanted to pursue. But I would say that July 2017, what I would consider our start of our real debt-free journey. We really got serious about it then.
Awesome. So let's talk about your debt. Tell our audience how much debt it was in total, what type of debt was it, and how long did it take you guys to pay it off?
Yeah.
So when we got married, we actually came into our marriage with debt. We bought a house 2 weeks before we got married. I had a car payment. He had some student loans. And then after we got married, I got some student loans. We took out a line of credit on our house to help build a garage, and just different things. We had kind of like paid stuff off along the way, but we never really focused and was intentional with anything. And so then we paid off a total of $71,825 in 18 months, and we paid it off in December. But total throughout our marriage, we've had $132,500 roughly in debt. So we really like focused and decided to commit to getting out of debt pretty quickly. So.
What made you do that though? I mean, because that's amazing. You're talking about 70 something thousand in under 2 years, or the totality of your marriage, six figures worth of debt that you all have paid off. But before you paid it off, you accumulated it. So at one time, you were accustomed to debt. You got cars, you got student loans. It was just a part of your life. What was it that caused you all to switch gears with the way that you viewed your debt situation? And what caused you to even have the conversation with each other, like maybe we should pay our debt off?
After coming into our marriage, we had talked about it. She had actually taken a financial peace university class, and I guess you could say that we, at that point, we haven't dealt with debt long enough to actually feel the weight of it. So we never really did get serious about it. And we wanted to be debt free. I guess you could say we were natural savers, not big spenders, other than just items that, just your house, your car, things like that. But a year and a half ago, we had a little girl, and guess we kind of bit the bullet of new parents and need to get a new car. And
Yeah.
the
Yeah, she was like 2 months old, and I was about to have to go back to work, and we needed a new vehicle. And so I kind of let my pregnancy hormones and postpartum stuff like take over, and we bought a new car, which is something we said we would never do. So that added like $24,000 on top of our debt. And so then like we regretted it not too long afterwards. And when I went back to work, like we were on opposite shifts at the time. Like he worked nights and I worked days, and so we never saw each other. And after like it took us 4 years of infertility to have our baby. And so then once we did, it was like this isn't what we expected. Like we never had family time. So we knew in order to get to the point of more family time that getting or becoming debt free would help us get started on that journey.
Yeah, it was really just an anchor in our life that we felt, we need to get that out of the way so we kind of move forward with things.
Yeah, and enjoy life with our little girl because it was passing so quickly already.
Yes, time does pass very, very quickly.
You blink.
Yeah.
And they 21.
We were talking about like high school graduation, and our youngest is only in kindergarten, and I'm already thinking about high school, and I'm like, my gosh, the time is just flying.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, unbelievable. Well, I love your motivation. I think so many people have something in their lives that maybe they can say, hey, I want to be more present, right? And I think that debt sometimes keeps us from being more present. So I love how you guys were like, hey, this is not really what we signed up for. And you knew that you had to make a mindset shift. So let's talk about the mindset that you guys had to put yourself in order to say, you know what, we're going to get serious. We're going to knock out this debt, and then we're going to spend more time together.
I think the shift was for us was actually sitting down and seeing the numbers. Like it was something that we always wanted, but it was something that felt so far off that we actually need to sit down, do a budget. We'd never done a budget, and we needed to sit down and do that and actually see what was possible. And after we see that, you can actually see the finish line. Then that really kind of kicked us in gear. And from there on, we started doing a budget every month and started setting goals. And I think that's the major thing that kind of made the change in us.
Because like we had refinanced our house on a 15-year term. So we knew eventually we would get there, but it wasn't something like until we sat down and ran the numbers and was intentional with what we were spending, it didn't really click that it could happen like way sooner than we thought it could. So, and then that gave us some motivation to really get serious and sell things and stuff like that.
So let's talk about that, because I know that's a question that a lot of people have that are listening that are trying to figure out what can they do in order to help them get out of debt. So let's talk about some of the things that you all did. I know you talked about you learned how to budget and you started selling some things. So can you kind of unpack the strategies of the work part that you all did that allowed you all to get out of debt in such a short period of time?
Well, to start with the budget, we needed something to make it a little bit easier for us. We use the Every Dollar app, and that helped us. We did a lot better with actual something that would be honest all the time that we could look at. And then once we bought the new car, we had an extra vehicle. I had a truck that wasn't worth a whole lot, but we wanted to go ahead and sell it. We knew it could contribute to paying off the debt, so we did that. Another thing that we did is, a lot of times in the past, we got tax return money. We might have sometimes thrown some of that money at debt, but a lot of times we might buy something that we really didn't need. It was really a want, and we would go ahead and spend that money on that. So we started throwing every bit of our tax return money at our debt. And then anytime we got bonus money or any overtime money, that all went. And I think a big thing, like on just our spending habits, what we looked at when we started looking at our budget was what we were spending on food. It's like amazing, like how much money you can spend on food without knowing it. Just eating it, we ate out way too much. We'd eat out every other day at least, Mexican food or something of that nature.
Or just like little things that you don't think about, just like grabbing a drink every morning or something. It really added up. So.
And then also toward the end, she started a side business, in the fitness area, and that at the beginning was just a little bit of money that we was able to throw extra on it, and it's something that's actually started to take off now once we're debt free. But it didn't contribute a whole lot, but it contributed a little bit toward the end to help us push us to where we wanted to be.
I love that. I want to dig a little deeper, so let's talk about that, Tiffany. I think that sometimes we get emails or comments left on our video or things like that, and people may say, hey, I'm getting out of debt, but should I start this business that I want to start, or should I wait and postpone it because maybe they want to go through the baby steps or something like that? So talk about that. Talk about, the decision in saying, hey, I think I want to start this side hustle that then turn into, I'm assuming, a business for you Talk about that entire process.
Yeah, because I think people's main concerns is like, should I allocate some money towards
Yeah.
starting this business, or should every last dollar
Right.
that I bring in go towards our debt? So how
Yeah.
did you all handle that?
So we knew we wanted to do something. We had looked into like different things that maybe we could do, but we both worked full time. So I knew I needed something that I could do from home with my little girl in the evenings that wouldn't take like a ton of time. It's not like it's a business I would then have to go to after work. So I was able to build everything online. And so
Actually, she actually didn't start it as a business. It was
yeah,
actually something we started, or she brought it to our house and brought it to our family, working out and stuff. And then it actually from there kind of turned into a business.
yeah. So
It
we
wasn't.
were trying to do the Dave Ramsey thing where you just eat beans and rice all the time, but we felt really horrible and didn't have any energy to then do the work we needed. So I actually joined this fitness group for the accountability of it and to feel better, and followed a meal plan that helped us stay on track with our food budget. So it was actually saving us money to do that. And then it eventually turned into, well, I could help people do this themselves. And so then it turned into more of a business later on. But at first, it was just I needed to feel better to have the energy to pour into us getting out of debt. So it wasn't like a huge cost to start up. And so it actually worked out really well. Like that was one of the things that we had talked about too, is do we make room for it? And since it was saving us in other areas, we figured out that it was definitely worth it.
There's a lot of comparisons between um, on your debt journey and health journey. Like I truly believe that us starting to sit down, doing a budget and setting goals in that area kind of got us to the point where we want to set goals in other areas of our life. And I think that's what led us down that path.
Yeah, it was kind of like the same mindset that you have to get out of debt. You have to have that in your health and fitness too. So, because neither journey is like really easy, like you have to be dedicated and put in the work.
So is your business, or is it more like a coach? Like, is it
Yes.
like a
So
health coaching?
yes, I'm technically a health coach. Yeah.
Awesome. Love that. So was there any like startup cost attached to that that could have deterred you guys from getting or paying off your debt a lot sooner? Or was it really a low cost barrier for you?
So for me to sign up as a customer or to sign up as a coach was the exact same cost. And signing up as a coach, I saved 25% off on any future products. So I was like, it seemed like a win-win. Like it saved us money, but I could also earn commissions and help other people by sharing my journey about that too. So.
I love it.
Awesome. Now, as you guys started your journey, you started doing the work, you started budgeting, you started selling stuff, you started to make progress.
Yeah.
As you guys continued on your journey, were there any obstacles that popped up along the way that you had to overcome in order to achieve the ultimate goal of debt freedom? And if so, how'd you get through it?
I think it was like we had a lot of supportive people around us, but there's a lot of culture around you that tells you that debt is the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have debt, or you always have payments. We heard the comments of, well, you always have debt. And it was just that the negative thing that you just have to overcome. Because people kind of look at you weird when you're on the journey to be debt free. And I'd say that was probably the biggest thing for me, anyways.
Yeah. We really didn't have like any huge like financial setbacks, which we were really lucky. Like, that nothing crazy happened. We were able to both work. He actually got a new job during our process. So that helped out a little bit. Yeah, so basically just trying to stay in a positive mindset, like when some people can be kind of negative about it all, is the main thing that we had to kind of deal with.
Policy Genius guarantees the best life insurance price for you and those you love. It's so simple to protect your family today in 5 easy steps. 1. Calculate quotes. 2. Compare companies. 3. Apply online. 4. Receive expert advice. And 5. Rest easy. It really is that simple. Calculate, compare, apply with Policy Genius. For more info, head on over to hisandhermoney.com/Policy Genius.
So unpack the social ramifications a little bit. We're from Chicago, but I spent a number of years living in the South. And one thing I know about the South, Dustin, is trucks are a big deal. So it was no easy feat for you to commit to saying, you know what, let's sell the truck. You had to be all in. You had to do some back and forth ping ponging in your head. I know. So when you got the place in your heart to say, let's do this, I'm sure friends were like, what are you doing selling your truck? Yeah. So when you hear stuff like that, when people start to question your decisions, how did you handle it? It's one thing to say, ignore, but like talk us through and talk to people listening through the process of actually putting the blinders up and having that laser focus on what you're trying to achieve.
Well, you got to have a why. And we go back to our little girl is like, she's the reason we started all this. Is like, what's more important, your family and your future, or the opinions of other people? A lot of the things that we've done along the way, we knew that a lot of people wouldn't understand, and some people still don't. But that was kind of you just have to weigh that out. And still today, I don't have a truck. At the moment, I'm driving a Toyota Corolla.
Yeah, 2009.
Saving gas on it. So maybe one day I'll get another truck. But I think just weighing that out, what's most important. And, you can just tell people that, maybe some people understand, some people won't. And you share that with them, maybe you might inspire somebody else to make some change in their life.
So walk us through that moment when you guys paid off your last debt payment.
Oh, man.
It was pretty cool. We were hoping to be able to do it online so that we could actually click it and see it then, but it didn't. Our last payment was our mortgage, and we had to actually mail in the payoff amount. So I actually mailed the payment, and I took a picture of it and sent it to him. And then we kept checking online to see if it had posted yet, and it finally posted on December 21st that it was officially paid off. So that was our gift to each other for Christmas. Like, we bought Sydney something, but we didn't get gifts for each other. We used that money as to put toward our payoff and make that final payment.
Yeah. So that was a pretty good highlight for Christmas this year, or last year. We took a picture in front of the Christmas tree holding up a letterboard showing that we were debt-free and mortgage-free for Christmas. And it got like a huge response. It was like thousands of likes and comments, and family members that didn't realize what we were doing were like, oh, they kind of opened their eyes and maybe there is something to what they were doing all along. And we had a lot of people reach out to us online. I believe you guys, that's how y'all found us, is posts through social media.
Yeah, so it was really cool too when Dave Ramsey shared our post on Christmas Eve. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, talk about a Merry Christmas. I love it.
So you mean to tell me you guys are sitting right now in a paid off house? Is that what I understand?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
It feels really cool because, like, I turned 30 in November, and then we paid our house off the next month before he turned 32. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, our initial goal when we sat down was we were going to try to pay it off for her 30th birthday.
Yeah.
We missed it by a little bit, but it was still pretty sweet that we got to do it for Christmas. So
yeah, it made up for it.
Yeah.
Love that. Such a memorable Christmas for you guys. I absolutely love that. So what are some of your next goals now that you guys are completely debt free, including the mortgage?
Man.
What's on the horizon for you two?
That's something that we're actually in the process of doing right now.
We're trying to book a vacation.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things is just being able to open up a little bit more, able to spend a little more, give a little more, and on top of being able to save and invest more. Maybe a vacation will be pretty soon. We're going to sit down and plan that.
Yeah, and then we did start a truck fund.
Yeah. So you got to get that
Truck is on the way, ladies and gentlemen. The truck is on the way. So what is everybody saying now, especially the people that were giving you the side eye when you started this journey? Now that you're not only student loan debt, car debt, you all are mortgage debt free. I mean, everything's paid for. What's the response from family and friends these days?
We've had a lot of people we've had quite a few that's reached out to us for advice. Like I said, we probably wasn't as open with it as we could have been on the way. After the fact, we kind of realized how much it could inspire somebody else to do something. When we shared that photo after Christmas or for Christmas, a lot of people saw that, and we had people like messaging us like, you gotta give us some advice on what to do. Yeah. So that was something that we wasn't expecting, but to see that is like, it's okay to share those things. If you're going through something like that, it's like always share, because somebody could be trying to go, they see you accomplish it. They see it as something maybe they can do also.
Yeah. To know somebody personally, it helps too. Versus just knowing people like online. Although like we did really have
we did get a lot of support online.
Yeah, so we watched podcasts like this one, and like different, like we watched a lot of the debt free screams on the Dave Ramsey show to keep us inspired along the way, because we knew like those were so inspiring to us too. So it definitely helped us keep going on the hard days.
How did this financial journey impact your marriage?
Oh, I would say we've always had a great marriage, but it helps it, majorly. I don't think there's, other than like the God aspect in your marriage, I don't think there's much of anything else that has as much of an impact as setting goals together and then going out there and achieving them together. I mean, to feel that, it just brings you together closer than you can imagine, to be able to get those wins together.
Yeah, and like I'm an accountant, so I always like kept the books. Like he always knew what was going on, but this actually like got him involved. Like he saw all the numbers that, and we knew where we could like work even harder to reach that. And so now it's like, now we use that same drive to like keep going and keep making goals and pushing together to achieve those.
Yeah, those budget meetings eventually start turning into dream meetings where you start talking about your future, and you sit down and do a budget, you can't help but set goals, and then you start setting goals, and then you start thinking about your dreams and what you want your future to look like, and you're just setting yourself up for success. So
awesome. So looking back over the whole process, the whole journey, what's the biggest lesson about life that each one of you learned as a result of going through this journey to debt freedom?
I think we just talked about this, is the biggest thing is the most important things in life don't cost you anything. It's the moments and the time you're spending with your family, and those are the things that are important.
Like money's just a tool to help you do cooler things, but it can also be a stress. But when you don't have the bills to worry about, like you don't have that stress, and it gives you, like you can just enjoy life better, because you now have tools that you didn't have, or you didn't have much of before, to help you like experience life together and enjoy things that way. It's not about like the material things as much.
Yeah, the journey is like the journey of becoming debt free. You realize that the focus really isn't about money. The whole thing isn't about having just to focus on money. It's about not having to focus on money as much, so you can focus on the real important things. That's what it's really about.
What are some book recommendations that you would mention to someone that wants to get their financial life in order?
Total Money Makeover. That was the one that got us started. She taken the financial piece university class, came home telling me about it. I didn't get to go because I was on a different shift. And I actually sat down and read the book in like 2 days and was hooked on it. But at the same time, we didn't commit until years later. So we really wish that we would took everything from that book and had started really going into it then. But that's the one that had the impact.
Yeah, that's the one that has like it laid out like step by step. And it seems the easiest way to kind of figure it out. So.
And I think
If there's someone, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
If there's someone listening right now who loved your story and really is like applauding you guys on for being able to pay off student loans, cars, your house, but then they pause and they reflect on their own situation, they look at their own numbers, and they're not so sure that they can do what you all did, what words of encouragement would you offer to that person if you had a chance to talk to them one-on-one?
Just that it is possible. Just start somewhere, like start small, like just start being intentional with your money, like do a budget, like every little change you can do adds up. And over time, like even if it takes you longer, you can get there.
Yeah, it is possible. It's those little changes. Sitting down and doing a budget is not about depriving yourself. It's about finding out what's more important to you in life. To tell you how important a budget is, in our first 7 years of our marriage, actually the last 18 months of our journey, we paid off more than the first 7 years just because we sat down and started doing a budget.
Yeah,
it is important. People think, well, what is that going to do for us just to sit down and write the numbers down? Mm-hmm. But it starts to make you think about little changes you can make, and that starts to add up. And it's really just a compound interest over time. You start to build that up. And I mean, it does matter. I mean, that right there, when I look at those numbers, I'm like, why didn't we start this sooner? Because it's going to make an impact for the rest of our life.
Yeah. And it's not like we had just like an easy journey. We did 4 years of infertility. So we had like thousands of dollars and we cash flowed for fertility treatments. And then we, like he had gotten laid off. We took pay cuts. We don't make a ton of money. So, I mean, you just have to be intentional. Yeah, like any income amount, you can do this.
Yeah, it wasn't like just this smooth path where everything perfectly worked out. I mean, there was things that we went through, from me getting laid off from my job and then having to take a lower paying job, and you just keep, working towards where you want to go, and you'll eventually go there. Everybody's story is not the same. And somebody else's, they may take a little longer. Some people might have caught on to it earlier than we did and might achieve this even sooner. But anybody can sit down and do a budget together and at least make improvements.
Well, Dustin and Tiffany,
awesome.
This has been incredible. You guys deserve to be applauded because you guys hung in there. No matter what came your way, you didn't give up. You did what you had to do. You sacrificed. You stuck together. And now you all are 100% debt free.
That's right.
So where can our viewers or our listeners or anybody that's just heard your story, where can they go and follow you online? I know that you mentioned, Tiffany, that you have a business. So how can they stay in contact with you?
Well, I'm on Instagram. Just do Tiffany Cottrell on Instagram, and I have a fitness accountability page on Facebook. It's called Tiffany Cottrell Fitness Accountability.
And
awesome.
We'll be sure to have links to those pages. We'll have links to the books and resources that they mentioned along the way. We want to salute you guys and say, job well done. And thank you so much for taking time to share your journey with the audience today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Good to meet you guys.